أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي رب زدني علما. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Today we are going to start with Surah Al-Baqarah, verse number 130. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وَمَنْ يَرْغَبُ عَنْ مِلَّةِ إِبْرَاهِيمَ إِلَّا مَنْ سَفِهَ نَفْسَهُ وَلَقَدِ اصْطَفَيْنَاهُ فِي الدُّنْيَا وَإِنَّهُ فِي الْآخِرَةِ لَمِنَ الصَّالِحِينَ. And who can avoid the fate of Ibrahim except one who has fooled himself? We have chosen Ibrahim in this world, and indeed in the hereafter he will be of the righteous. So Ibrahim alayhi salam, as we all know, is one of the forefathers, is a forefather of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now here the millata Ibrahima can also mean, it can mean the faith, it can mean the faith as well as its law, the Sharia. And the deen of Ibrahim is said to be based, and its faith is based on nature. And every human being is supposed to have been created in the faith of nature. إِذْ قَالَ لَهُ رَبُّهُ أَسْلِمْ قَالَ أَسْلَمْتُ لِرَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. When his Lord said to Ibrahim, submit, he replied, I submit to the Lord of the worlds, of all the worlds. So God is not only the Lord of this earth and this world, but he is the Lord of all the worlds, or one can say the Lord of the universe. And submit, for the word submit, the Arabic word used here is aslim, which has the same root as Islam. And Islam also means to submit, to be obedient, to become totally obedient without any desires of one's own. And Ibrahim preached the same, وَوَصَّى بِهَا إِبْرَاهِيمُ بَنِيهِ وَيَعْقُوبُ يَا بَنِيَّ إِنَّ اللَّهَ اصْطَفَى لَكُمُ الدِّينَ فَلَا تَمُوتُنَّ إِلَّا وَأَنْتُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ. And Ibrahim preached the same to his sons, and so did Yaqub. So who was Yaqub? Yaqub was the son of Hazrat Ishaq alayhi salam, who was in turn the son of Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam. So Yaqub alayhi salam is the grandson of Hazrat Ibrahim. So Yaqub alayhi salam also said the same thing to his sons, which had been said by the previous prophets. O my sons, God has chosen for you this faith. So do not die except as Muslims surrendering to God. فَلَا تَمُوتُنَّ إِلَّا وَأَنْتُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ. That is, when you die, you must at that time be accepting of the faith of Islam. You should be a Muslim at that time. And since no one knows when he's going to die, no one is aware of the time of his death, therefore one has to be perpetually prepared and ready to die anytime. And this is the why people keep reciting either the Kalma Shahada or whatever appeals to them all the time when they are awake. So we also have to, make it clear and repeat it. Or as we go along, we have to keep repeating as to who is a Muslim. Because in this time and age, in this day and age, a Muslim is exclusively supposed to be a follower of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But if you read the Quran carefully, you will find that the word Muslim is used for all the followers of the prophets of their time, and also those who believed in the prophets, in all the previous prophets. So all the monotheistic revealed religions which were brought by a long line of prophets come under the banner of Islam. And most of the prophets are reported to have said in the Quran that they are Muslim. Am kuntum shuhada iz hadara Yaqub al-mautu iz qala li banihi ma ta'buduna min ba'di قالوا نعبد إلهك وإله آبائك إبراهيم وإسماعيل وإسحاق إله واحدا ونحن له مسلمون. Were you a witness when death approached Yaqub and he said to his sons, "Whom will you worship after me?" They replied, "We will worship your God and the God of your forefathers Ibrahim and Ismail and Ishaq, the one God. We are Muslims surrendering to him." So, since Yaqub alayhi salam had already taught his sons that they have to believe in the one God and they have to be Muslims in the true sense of the word. Therefore, when death approached him, when he was about to die, he called his sons and he said, "Whom will you worship after me?" And they all replied, "We will worship your God and the God of your forefathers, Ibrahim and Ismail and Ishaq, the one God. We are Muslims surrendering to him." Now, when we talk about, we'll discuss this when we come to it. تلك أمة قد خلت لها ما كسبت ولكم ما كسبتم ولا تسألون عما كانوا يعملون. These were a people who have passed away. For them is what they earned, and for you is what you earn. You will not be questioned about their deeds. So everyone has to answer for his own deeds. And the concept of the original sin does not exist in the faith that was taught by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The belief is that every child is born innocent, and then whatever he does later on makes him either a believer or a non-believer. وَقَالُوا كُونُوا هُودًا أَوْ نَصَارَىٰ تَهْتَدُوا قُلْ بَلْ مِلَّةَ إِبْرَاهِيمَ حَنِيفًا وَمَا كَانَ مِنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ. So they say, become Jews or Christians, then you will be rightly guided. Say, no, I follow the faith of Ibrahim the upright. He was not a polytheist. Now the terms Jews and Christians, it is said that both these terms were not taught by their prophets, by Prophet Musa salam and Prophet Isa salam. Jesus did not tell his followers that they were going to be Jews or Christians. These terms were invented much later. So, according to Ibn Abbas, Ibn Surya, who was a Jew, said to Prophet Muhammad, "Only we are on the right path, so follow us, then you will be on the right path too." And similarly, the Christians also said, "We are on the right path." Here, this in verse 135, the same thing is being said. They say, become Jews or Christians, then you will be rightly guided. So the Jews had this doctrine, not exactly doctrine, but they believed that they were superior in every way. Racially superior in the fact that they had received for hundreds of years, thousands of years, they had been receiving all the prophets, and that is why they had collected a lot of wisdom in everything. So that is why they could not accept a prophet who had come who was not a Jew. Even Christ was from the Jews. The Hazrat Isa alayhi salam was born among the Jews, and he said, "I have come to preach to the Jews." But here it is being said that Ibrahim alayhi salam was not a polytheist, because the Christians, by firstly turning their prophet into a god, they have practiced polytheism, and the Jews have this superior attitude. Also, the Christians had this doctrine of the vicarious atonement. That means Jesus died on the cross in order to ask pardon, atone for the sins of the human beings, of Adam and his children. So that means if you believed in Jesus and you believe that he is the Son of God, then there is nothing really you have to do in order to earn heaven, because Jesus has already done this for you by dying on the cross. وَقَالُوا كُونُوا هُودًا أَوْ نَصَارَىٰ تَهْتَدُوا قُلْ بَلْ مِلَّةَ إِبْرَاهِيمَ حَنِيفًا وَمَا كَانَ مِنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ. I think we've already done this. We'll move on to the next one, verse number 136. قُولُوا آمَنَّا بِاللَّهِ وَمَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْنَا وَمَا أُنزِلَ إِلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ وَإِسْمَاعِيلَ وَإِسْحَاقَ وَيَعْقُوبَ وَالْأَسْبَاطِ وَمَا أُوتِيَ مُوسَى وَعِيسَى وَمَا أُوتِيَ النَّبِيُّونَ مِن رَّبِّهِمْ لَا نُفَرِّقُ بَيْنَ أَحَدٍ مِّنْهُمْ وَنَحْنُ لَهُ مُسْلِمُونَ. Say, now this say is addressed to whom? It's addressed to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This imperative is often addressed to him in the Quran when he is being given an answer to give to the non-believers who were challenging him in some way or the other. So say to them, we have come to believe in God and whatever has been revealed to us and what has been revealed to Ibrahim and Ismail and Isaac and Yaqub and their descendants, and what was given to Musa and Isa and was given to other prophets from their Lord. We do not discriminate between any of them, and we are Muslims surrendering to Him. Now here the discrimination between the prophets is in the belief, that is, it means we believe in all of them. We don't say we don't believe in this prophet and we don't believe in that prophet. We believe in all the prophets even though we don't know their names. There are only about 27 prophets mentioned by name in the Quran, but we are told that 124,000 prophets were sent to this world. And of course, we don't know most of their names, but we do believe in all the prophets. Also, when we believe in all these prophets, we also believe in all the books that were revealed to these prophets. Whatever has been revealed to us and what has been revealed to Ibrahim and all these other prophets who came later. So all the descendants of Ibrahim were given some sort of book or booklet, a sahifa, and we believe that they were all given these books, even though we have not seen them. Now the descendants also refers to, of course, there are these names that we know, but there are many names we do not know. Besides, the descendants of Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam include Ismail and Ishaq and Yaqub and their 12 tribes. The 12 tribes came from the 10 sons of Hazrat Yaqub alayhi salam and the 2 sons of Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam. So they became 12 tribes. فَإِنْ آمَنُوا بِمِثْلِ مَا آمَنْتُمْ بِهِ فَقَدْ اهْتَدَوْا وَإِنْ تَوَلَّوْا فَإِنَّمَا هُمْ فِي شِقَاقٍ فَسَيَكْفِيكَهُمُ اللَّهُ وَهُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ. So if they believe the way you believe, then they are rightly guided. That is, if the other people who are there in Medina, maybe this can also be applied to the later generations. And if they believe the way Prophet Muhammad is teaching them, then they are rightly guided. But if they turn away, then know that they are bent on opposition. God will be enough for you against them. He is the all-hearing, the all-knowing. I'd like to point out here that Arabic is a very compact, expressive language which can express a lot of meaning in very few words or very few syllables. Now here you see this written in Arabic, فَسَيَكْفِيكَهُمْ. This is one word here, it's written as one word, but it's a compound word, and it means that so God will be enough for you against them. This long sentence is all bundled into this one word, فَسَيَكْفِيكَهُمْ Umullahu. In Arabic you would call this a jame word. That means you have a lot of meaning in very little, in very few syllables. So here we were saying, just going back a little bit, that everyone will have to answer for his own deeds. For them, this is verse number 134. For them is what they earned, and for you is what you earned. So, of course, we believe in individual responsibility. Everybody is responsible for what he has done, and on the day of judgment, no one will be able to help another. But there is also a little point that except when one leads another astray, one misguides another person, then the person who has become misguided will also be punished, and also the person who has misguided this person will also be punished. So otherwise, we are mainly responsible for our own deeds. Now we'll keep this up to here for today, and we will move on to, since there was this request to cover the verses of fasting, since Ramadan is here, we will move on to verse number 183 of Surah Al-Baqarah, the cow. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ya ayyuhallazina amanu kutiba alaykumus siyamu kama kutiba alal lazina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. O believers, fasting has been imposed on you as it was on those before you, so that you might become God conscious. Now this imposition of fasting, or this injunction about fasting, came a little before the battle of Badr. And Badr was fought in 2 Al-Hijri, 2 AH. And also we know, every little child, Muslim child knows that fasting is supposed to be what they call one of the 5 pillars of Islam. That means it's one of the most important fundamental duties that we have to perform. Even though on the face of it, it seems to be a very difficult thing, but when people start fasting, when they have this strong faith, then it becomes easy for them. Now, before this verse was revealed, and when the Prophet migrated to Medina, they found that the Jews or the Bani Israelis in Medina were fasting on the 10th of Muharram. So when they found this out, the Prophet said, you are more deserving of this fast because this celebrates when Prophet Musa salam took his people, the Bani Israelis, out of Egypt and led them to freedom, this was to celebrate that freedom. So the Muslims also started fasting on the 10th of Muharram until this verse number 183, Surah Al-Baqarah, was revealed. And then they started fasting for the whole month of Ramadan, and the 10th of Muharram fast became a voluntary fast. It didn't remain as an obligatory fast. Then sometimes we say that, we fast so that we realize how people feel when they go hungry. Also, these days, people practice a lot of detoxification because they feel that they eat too much or they eat too many things which they don't really need. So sometimes they say, I'm just going to drink juices, or I'm just going to drink water or something, and they try to get rid of all the toxins, the poisons in their body. It is also a spiritual cleansing, and sometimes I feel that this takes you very close to the experience of death, because it's only at the time of death that a human being will stop eating, drinking, and having, sexual relations and all these other things. And therefore, when you stop eating and drinking and then you get a little bit of the taste of death, which we are supposed to keep remembering. And this also increases our spirituality. Now here it is said that fasting has been imposed upon you the way it was imposed on those people who came before you. That means those ummah, or those people who were following other prophets. Now, I had read that Hazrat Dawood alayhi salam used to fast one day and he used to abstain the next day, abstain from fasting, that is. And also we know that the Jews were fasting on the 10th of Muharram when the Prophet migrated. And even today, the Jews have their own way of fasting. This is known as the Yom Kippur, which is also a kind of a day of atonement. That means they ask for forgiveness of personal sins. And it's a kind of, even though each person is doing it for himself, it is a kind of an individual and collective purification by forgiveness of the sins of others and repentance of one's own sins. And in this also, they abstain from food, water, and sex for one whole day. And on the eve of Yom Kippur, friends ask and accept forgiveness from one another. And this is a kind of an expiation, a kafara. Also, besides just food and drink, they also abstain from all kinds of physical pleasures, and somehow it also ties in with the Sabbath, because they also refrain from work. And the 10th day of the 7th month is also known as the Sabbath of Sabbaths, because here it is kind of a total refraining from all work and all pleasure. They say that even today in Israel, the radio and the TV, the airports, public transportation, all shops and businesses are closed except for emergency service. It is also considered impolite to eat in public, or to sound loud music, or even to drive a vehicle. And this, of course, is an annual fast. Now, in ayat number 184, let's read the 184 and we'll discuss it. Ayyama madudat, faman kana minkum maridan aw ala safarin, fa iddatun min ayyamin ukhra. وعلى الذين يطيقونه فدية طعام مسكين فمن تطوع خيرا فهو خير له وأن تصوموا خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون. That is, it is only for a counted number of days. Now, it seems as if God is trying to pacify those people who were being told about it for the first time, that they would be fasting for a whole month. It's only for a counted number of days. And the one who is ill or is traveling should fast later the same number of days, the same as he misses. Those for whom it is not easy should expiate by feeding a needy person. But exceeding in goodness is better for them. Fasting is better for you if you knew. So here it is said that anyone who is traveling has been given this concession that he need not fast on those days, and then later on he can make up for those missed days. Now, this injunction is also for anybody who is temporarily unable to fast. And this includes the pregnant woman, the nursing mother, the menstruating woman. In all these conditions, they need not fast at that time, and then they can make up the fast later, make up as many as they had missed. But if there is a terminally ill patient for whom there is no hope that he will ever recover, or one who is suffering from such serious diseases as diabetes, for which there is no cure really, then they are allowed to expiate by feeding a needy person. And also one should remember that needy person should be a person who is also fast. And one has to feed him both the meals at the time of suhoor in the morning, and also that's like a breakfast, and at the time of the breaking of the fast at Maghrib. So the expiation is only for those who are terminally ill, for whom there is no chance of recovery. The month of Shahru Ramzan al-Lazi yunzila fihi al-Qur'anu hudal lin-nasi wa bayyinatin min al-huda wal-furqan. فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ فَلْيَصُمْهُ وَمَنْ كَانَ مَرِيضًا أَوْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ فَعِدَّةٌ مِنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرَ يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ بِكُمُ الْيُسْرَ وَلَا يُرِيدُ بِكُمُ الْعُسْرَ وَلِتُكْمِلُوا الْعِدَّةَ وَلِتُكْبِرُوا اللَّهَ عَلَى مَا هَدَاكُمْ وَلَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. So the month of Ramadan is that in which the Quran was first revealed. We know that Surah Al-Qadr was first revealed in the month of Ramadan, containing guidance for the people and clear instructions, as well as a criterion to sift the right from wrong. We know that the Quran is a criterion for us. A criterion is one which establishes the difference between the right and the wrong, the good and the bad, or the halal or the haram. So the Quran does that. It is a criterion. So whoever is present in this month should fast. What is the meaning of present? Present where that? It means if one is sitting at home comfortably, then he should fast. And of course, there is this concession for those who are traveling. Now, what is it? What is considered a travel? Because the modes of travel have changed, the speed of travel has changed, but the scholars have ruled that the travel still 54 miles, even though an aeroplane might cover it in a few seconds maybe. Or a travel of 3 days is considered travel in which there is a concession. This reminds me of this Sufi Buzurg who was traveling, and he belonged to the Malamati Sufi Silsila. The Malamatis are those who do not like to be praised or admired or be told to be surrounded by admirers. So, and they're always trying to find faults in themselves, and maybe sometimes they're trying to make other people find faults in them. So one of these Malamti Sufis was traveling, and he came to know that the place that he was going to, the town that he was going to, which was his destination, he found that people were gathering there at the gate of the town to receive him. Now, this was something that he really did not appreciate much. He did not like it. So what he did was, when he reached near the gate, he took out some dry bread from his bag and he started eating it. And it happened to be the month of Ramadan. So when people saw him, their first reaction was, oh, we thought he was a, highly spiritual Sufi Buzurg. So they turned their backs on him and they walked away, not realizing he did it because he was traveling and he was exempted from fasting for that day. But the other people didn't realize that, and his objective was fulfilled, that he did not receive any admiration or respect or honor. I just sort of find this very interesting. So whoever is present, that means whoever is comfortably sitting at home should fast in this month. And the one who is ill or is traveling should make up on other days. God wants ease for you and not difficulty, so that you complete the days and praise the greatness of God for guiding you, and so that you might be grateful. So one should be grateful even if one is able to keep the fast. It's said that fasting is a kind of an experience of death, and it's also a very highly spiritual experience. And you will notice that there are a lot of people who are not particular about their prayers, about the salat, about the 5-time prayer, but which is an easier thing to do on the face of it than fasting. But you will find that a great majority of people fast very willingly, and I think that is because of the feeling of spirituality and spiritual elevation that they experience. وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي أَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ أُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ الدَّاعِ إِذَا دَعَانِ فَلْيَسْتَجِيبُوا لِي وَلْيُؤْمِنُوا بِي لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْشُدُونَ. And when my servants ask you about me, tell them I am close. So most probably this was revealed when people kept asking, because they were used to seeing all those idols, and people could see their God. They had put it there themselves, so they could see their God. But when Prophet Muhammad talked about the one God, they said, where is your God? We can't see him. So here it is being said, and when my servants ask you about me, tell them I am close. And in another place it has been said that he is closer to you than your jugular vein. I listen to the prayers of the one who prays when he prays. Now, prayer is a word in English which does not really do full justice to either salat or dua, because dua is something very different. Dua is a supplication that when you're asking God for something, and that is also called a prayer. And when we are doing our salat, that is 5-time regular daily prayer, then that is also called a prayer. So we have to distinguish between these two. So God here says, I'm close. I listen to the prayers of the one who prays when he prays. And this, I think, refers to the supplication, when you are talking to God, when you're asking him. So they should listen to my call and believe in me, that they may be rightly guided. So this also brings out the fact that God is always close to us, but he is much closer when we are praying or do zikr or fast or do voluntary worship. In fact, some of the Sahaba, the companions of the Prophet, once asked him, "What is the meaning of ihsan?" And the Prophet said, ihsan means, he gave an example, it means that when you are doing your salat, your prayer, you should be able to see God because you are in the presence of God. And they said, it's not possible for us to do this. How can we imagine God? So the Prophet said, all right, if that's not possible, then you should be sure that God is seeing you. So when you stand up for prayer, you should realize that you are in the presence of God and that God can see you and He is listening to you. أُحِلَّ لَكُمْ لَيْلَةَ الصِّيَامِ الرَّفَثُ إِلَى نِسَائِكُمْ هُنَّ لِبَاسٌ لَكُمْ وَأَنْتُمْ لِبَاسٌ لَهُنَّ عَلِمَ اللَّهُ أَنَّكُمْ كُنْتُمْ تَخْتَانُونَ أَنفُسَكُمْ فَتَابَ عَلَيْكُمْ وَعَفَا عَنْكُمْ فالآن باشرهن وابتغوا ما كتب الله لكم وكلوا واشربوا حتى يتبين لكم الخيط الأبيض من الخيط الأسود من الفجر ثم أتموا الصيام إلى الليل ولا تباشرهن وأنتم عاكفون في المساجد تلك حدود الله ولا تقربوها كذلك يبين الله آياته للناس لعلهم يتقون. This is a long verse. It has been made lawful for you to sleep with your wives on the nights of the fast. So before this verse, people were not sure about this particular problem. They are a garment for you and you are a garment for them. God knew that you were deceiving yourselves, so He relented towards you and forgave you. In the beginning, people thought that they were not supposed to go to their wives throughout the month of Ramadan, but some of them still cheated. So God says that I knew what you were doing, but now He has relented towards you and forgiven you. So now you can go to your wives and seek that which God has preordained for you, and eat and drink until the white thread is made clear to you from the black. So the white thread and the black thread means black thread is the darkness of the night and the white thread is the whiteness of the morning. Now before that, here it is said that the men are a garment for their wives and the women are a garment for their husbands. They are like a dress for each other. So their relationship here is described as being mutually effective. Since for the wearer, a dress is like a screen or a curtain which hides one's shortcomings and also one's shame. And the dress adds beauty and grace and gives comfort and refuge in harsh weather. It also gives one a chance to express one's personality. These are some of the basics on which a man and woman relationship is or should be based. Now here there is this mention of, and refrain from, I'm still on verse number 187, and refrain from going to your wives when you have decided to be in itikaf. Wa antum akifun, when you are in the state of itikaf. So what is the itikaf? Itikaf is when a person decides to sit in complete isolation and isolation from his family and his work, but when he's in the mosque, of course, there are other people who are practicing the same itikaf. So it's a kind of a continuous meditation, along with all the other rituals that one has to perform every day, the prayers and the reading of the Quran, etc. So, but when a person is and this is normally done in the last 10 days of the month of Ramadan. So when a person is in a state of itikaf, then he should stay away from his wife. And also then these men who go to the mosque to do itikaf, they do not come home normally and they stay in the mosque, and if it is needed, then their food is sent from home, or maybe the mosque will make some arrangement for it. Now what about the itikaf of the women? There are a few mosques that I know of which make arrangements for the women to practice itikaf, but not all mosques. And it is also recommended that they can do their itikaf if they want to at home. This is a voluntary worship. But if a woman has young children, or if she's the sole responsible person in the household and she has to do the cooking and everything, then it's a bit difficult, because then the children will keep coming to her, all the time. What should we do about that? What should we do about this? So it's normally the slightly older women who don't have such responsibilities, who practice itikaf. So these are the limits set by God. Limits are that when you are in the time of the fast and what you have to refrain from, and if you're doing itikaf, then what are the additional things that you have to refrain from? So these are all the limits. So do not go near them. This is how God makes clear His signs so that they may become God conscious. لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَّقُونَ, so that they might become muttaqi or pious or God conscious. Now, in Islam, there is no room for celibacy. In fact, there is a hadith, a famous hadith of the Prophet, in which he has said, "An-nikah min sunnati," which means the nikah, that is the legal part of the wedding or marriage ceremony, is my sunnah. It is my example, my practice. So that means, in fact, there was a time when some of the very prominent companions of the Prophet decided that they wanted to advance spiritually at a very great speed, I think. So they decided that they would give up they would become ascetics, they would give up all the luxuries of the world, they would not eat good food, they would not they would not wear good clothes, they would not go near their wives, and so on and so forth, and they would just keep on practicing worship and prayer. So when the Prophet heard about this, he called them and he said, "You are supposed to follow my example, and I wear inexpensive clothes, but there are times when I also wear expensive clothes, because sometimes he used to be gifted with these expensive clothes." Then he said, I eat very simple food, but there are times when I also eat good food. That is, when somebody invited him to their house, then he would eat whatever good food they were offering him. Then he said, I also go to my wives because it is their right. So if you have married a woman, then you have to be very conscious of all her rights. So celibacy is not just not encouraged, but it's not supposed to be the right thing to do. And one is supposed to, if one wants to earn a spiritual station, then one is supposed to earn it through all the things which are here in this world, and by doing them in the right manner, by doing them as prescribed by the Prophet and the Quran and the Prophet, and through that one can earn one's stations, higher stations. وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا أَمْوَالَكُمْ بَيْنَكُمْ بِالْبَاطِلِ وَتُدْلُوا بِهَا إِلَى الْحُكَّامِ لِتَأْكُلُوا فَرِيقًا مِنْ أَمْوَالِ النَّاسِ بِالْإِثْمِ وَأَنْتُمْ تَعْمَلُونَ. Do not devour each other's wealth by false means, and do not misuse it to reach the authorities so that you can eat the wealth of the people sinfully with full knowledge. I think this covers for the time being, the verses of fasting. There was one other point here, but of course that comes later. So I think now we can stop here, and inshallah we'll continue with the sequence where we had left off. Anyway, we'll discuss that next time, or we'll put it up on the study group. Let's do a little dua. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وأدخلنا الجنة مع الأبرار يا عزيز يا غفار يا رب العالمين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين آمين ثم آمين. Thank you everybody for joining us, and inshallah we'll see you next time.